Hey guys, welcome back. It is time for another reaction video, and today I'm going to be reacting to 10 things that only exist in the UK. Before we jump into the video though, if you're new here or you're returning and you're not already subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video.
This is where it all began. Greg's first shop opened in Gosforth in Newcastle 68 years ago.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be looking at 10 things that only exist in the UK.
Oh, you smashed the thing!
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at products, shops, and more that you can only find in the United Kingdom. Let us know which is your favourite in the comments below. Party 7. You'll have to be a certain age to remember Party 7, since, in its original form, it disappeared back in the 1980s.
Tenor says he did it.
I'm not playing.
Tenor and a Party 7.
This was a tin of beer that was the equivalent of 7 pints in one big can, which would have cost about a tenner in today's money, though it originally cost 15 shillings.
So it's basically like a little mini keg of beer for the equivalent of 7 drinks of beer. That's pretty cool. We have what they call a mini keg. It's like probably about this big, maybe about that big around, and it's just like a miniature version of a keg. I don't know how many drinks are in one, but sometimes people might get that if they're having a small gathering or something.
It's a testament to how much the Brits love booze that such a product existed and remained popular, despite its propensity to explode and supposed poor quality.
Right, the chosen vintage of the CID.
Then in the 2020s, Party 7 had a brief renaissance when the beer returned in a keg format in 2021. Little Chef. It was a sad time in 2018 when the final Little Chefs closed their doors. Once upon a time,
That song sounds like something straight out of the U.S. Honestly, that I think they may have taken that from an old like an old 50s popular song of some sort, because that little jingle sounds very familiar.
Once upon a time, every long car journey could be livened up by a trip to a Little Chef, which lined motorways up and down the country. You could go in there and get classic food like a full English breakfast for a steal. A boon not only to families giving their kids a chance to stretch their legs, but lorry drivers needing a pick-me-up after hours on the road. It struggled for years following its decline in the 2000s and eventually shut all its branches. But for decades, it was a British cultural icon.
It looks very similar to what we have here nationally, which is Denny's or IHOP, International House of Pancakes, which is kind of like an open all day long breakfast type place. They serve other food too, like burgers and things like that throughout the day, but they're known for having their breakfast entrees.
A Little Chef goes a long way.
The House of Lords.
The most headline-grabbing recommendation, abolishing this place, the House of Lords, in favour of an elected chamber.
One of the most controversial things in British politics, the House of Lords as of 2023 is still there and still affecting our laws. That's despite many attempts to reform it and lots of high-profile and powerful politicians even saying they want to abolish it completely.
I think there's a lot that needs to be done to change the House of Lords. What I'm not convinced about is that we need another elected chamber.
It's one of the most bizarre parts of life in the UK, that we still have this system of hereditary aristocratic titles that mean unelected people, often rich landowners, get to sit there in Parliament and tweak or even outright block laws devised in the House of Commons.
What people get very worried.
What's interesting about what he just said is that they're not elected. So, yeah, if they were elected, it might be a different story and would be similar to what we have here in the U.S. But if they're not elected, that seems like it would reek of a lot of corruption. I don't know enough about British law, but I could see why there would be an interest in potentially changing it to maybe elected officials, and similar arrangement but with elected officials.
Worried about is the size of the House of Lords and the appointments process for the House of Lords.
They've got no real public accountability and are one of the strangest things about Britain to explain to foreigners. Cornish pasties. Cornwall is a unique part of England with its own distinct culture, flag, and even a native language. And it also boasts one of the most iconic British foodstuffs, the Cornish pasty. But the humble Cornish pasty is perhaps more important than you realise if you're not from Cornwall yourself, since it previously held protected status under EU law. This meant that only pasties meeting stringent requirements could truly call themselves Cornish. They've got to follow a strict recipe and be prepared in Cornwall. This was all done to protect the pasty industry, which uses local produce and provides jobs to many in the county. Tabloids.
Those look like they're probably pretty tasty, but my question is, what's inside of them? I couldn't tell if it was like a more savory, like hearty meat and potato type of a filling. Is it a pastry type with, maybe chocolate inside of it, or fruits, or what is inside of a pasty or pasty?
Of course, most countries do have tabloids of their own, but tabloid culture in Britain is a law unto itself. Around the world, the UK is notorious for its relentless, unethical tabloids. Not only do British celebs find themselves at the mercy of the tabloid presses regularly, but so do celebrities from elsewhere who are deemed worthy enough to get harassed by UK red tops.
We have a lot of those as well. They used to be quite popular at the registers when you're going to check out at the grocery stores. And they might still be, I don't know. Maybe it's just, like how you have blinders on, like when you see ads on the internet, like on Facebook and stuff, or websites, you just tune them out. You don't even see them because you're so used to ignoring them. But I think what's more popular these days is the same thing, but on television or social media, not necessarily as much in the print version. They still do the print version here. We have a lot of these types of things, but I don't really think people are picking up the paper versions of these or the magazine versions of these and purchasing them. They're probably just looking at it online. The gossip and the news is only as relevant as the time it takes to print it. So printing it, it's already outdated because there's already going to be something else online that's in the moment exactly when it's happening.
For over 100 years now, cheaply produced papers relying on sensationalist reporting and invading the privacy of the rich and famous have been part and parcel of British life, so much so that it's strange to imagine that the media landscape is very different overseas. Colin the Caterpillar.
It's quickly becoming the food fight of the century because the iconic birthday staple, Colin the Caterpillar, is going to war with lookalike Cuthbert.
No child's birthday party is complete without a visit from Colin the Caterpillar. Caterpillar cakes are sold by every major supermarket, all boasting different names, though the original Colin version was introduced by M&S in the 1990s.
Marks and Spencer's are taking Aldi to court over the budget-friendly version of the cake, claiming that Cuthbert is not only an imposter, but riding on the coattails of the supermarket's reputation.
Marks and Spencer's is so protected.
I guess if you're a kid, I could see this being something you might want, but the style of it, it looks super dated. But I guess you liken it to whatever is popular at any given moment here. Kids, at some point Lilo and Stitch was huge, and then Pokemon stuff was huge, and Disney characters are huge, and so we don't have probably just a single thing like this here in the States. But there are a lot of thematic style cakes that kids might want for their birthday. But yeah, this is funny. It's kind of interesting.
Of its Colin name, in fact, that it tried to take Aldi to court for infringing on its intellectual property by releasing a Cuthbert the Caterpillar.
It's a bit unfair because you've got similar caterpillars. I think there's a Clyde in Asda, and there's a Wiggle in Sainsbury's, and an Eric.
That suit was settled, and Caterpillar cakes continue to be sold by all supermarkets, often as a cost-effective way to get a large amount of chocolate cake for your kids. Greggs. If you miss Little Chef, Greggs is one of the retailers that expanded to fill the vacuum it left behind.
This is where it all began. Greggs first...
I'm definitely familiar with Greggs because I watch Lad Baby, I think is what it is. And he loves Greggs. He's done everything Greggs. He's got Greggs. I think he did like shirts or boxers or something. So I'm familiar with Greggs.
First shop opened in Gosforth in Newcastle 68 years ago.
But not only will you find a Greggs at every service station up and down the country, there's pretty much a Greggs on every single street, sometimes 2 or even 3 branches all competing with each other. With its cheap, tasty pastries and sandwiches, Greggs has invaded high streets around the country from its headquarters in Newcastle, which has over 30 branches alone.
From its roots in the northeast, Greggs...
For anyone who has visited the US, what would be the closest equivalent of a Greggs here in the US? Or if you're from the US and you visited UK and you had Greggs sausage rolls, what would you liken that to here in the US? I'm curious because I would love to try something like this, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to go to the UK anytime in the near future, but I'd love to taste something similar to it if I could.
It's expanded steadily.
In total, there were over 2,200 branches of Greggs,
Wow.
about 1,000 more branches than McDonald's.
Wow.
But it still only exists in the UK. It didn't even have any shops in Northern Ireland until 2016.
Today, Greggs has more shops in Britain than either McDonald's or Starbucks, and says it may launch abroad in the years to come.
Tizer.
Bring it here. Bring it to the US. I want to try it.
Tizer! It's a red thing!
Though its presence on supermarket shelves has waxed and waned, especially in recent years, Tizer is still sold by British retailers and turns 100 in 2024.
Huh.
It's manufactured by Bar, which also makes Iron Brew. But unlike the national drink of Scotland, Tizer has never really appeared in other countries. It remains such a niche drink that you might have thought it had been made defunct and could have gone years without seeing a bottle.
Yes, we have 3 great new flavours. No, we're not changing colour. Tizer, it's a red thing.
Right.
I've heard of Iron Brew, and I almost feel like I may have tried it at some point, but I'm not certain. But what is Tizer? Is it like a soda? And red, I know that things are regulated heavier in the UK, and so I thought they were really against the red food dyes. So it's interesting to see a red drink. But is it a soda? Is it a carbonated beverage or a juice, or what is it?
Bright red and with a top secret recipe, who knows what they really put in Tizer, which adds to the allure of the Great British Pop, as its slogan calls it. Henry Hoover. What British home is complete without a humble Henry to keep everything shipshape?
Meet Henry from Pneumatic International.
Henry and his numerous siblings like James and Hetty are certainly the most iconic vacuum cleaner in the UK, thanks to his large googly eyes and cute appearance. They're not the best vacuums on the market, but will be damned if they're not reliable.
So what is it that makes Henry the industry favourite? Is it the long life engineering and proven reliability?
There aren't any bells and whistles on Henry, though some are designed for slightly different things. Buying him, you can be sure you've got a solid appliance that might even last a lifetime, and all without breaking the bank.
It's all over the floor as well. Feet up again, please. Did any of this go in your mouth?
Mr.
Looks like a standard vacuum to me, but I think the face is cute. It makes it fun. It makes it more interesting. They marketed it right. If it's still successful, I'm sure the face has a lot to do with it. Mr. Blobby. So I see this one's about to start. I want to say, I believe the very first reaction video I ever did was Mr. Blobby, and it was because somebody suggested it, and Mr. Blobby's just ridiculous. I want to see what they put on here. It looks, he's funny. It's a kid's show from what I remember.
Blobby. Maybe the most bizarre thing to come out of British light entertainment, and that's saying something. Mr. Blobby has been a household name ever since his debut in the late 90s. But his longevity defies all logic and reason. An absurd character who caused chaos on Noel's house party, Mr. Blobby now routinely reappears on TV and even on the stage.
Because Mr. Blobby will be going on holiday soon, he needs to get a photograph for his passport. Even Blobby needs identification.
Every time he does, he wreaks havoc, ruining segments, breaking items, throwing tantrums, and scaring children half to death.
Oh, you smashed the thing!
Why do they keep bringing him back when his only role is to smash things and screech like a banshee? Your guess is as good as ours.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from...
That was pretty fun. Anybody who is in the know, is Mr. Blobby a single person actor in there? Or are there several Mr. Blobbies out there when they go on tour? And has it always been the same person inside of Mr. Blobby since the 90s? Or they rotated a lot of people in and out of there? Because it seems like the voice is just kind of like a weird robotic voice, so it wouldn't really matter. Yeah, that was a fun video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have other suggestions of things like this or something from your country of origin, if you're not from the US or the UK, comment below. Give me some suggestions of other things to react to. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and do all the things. And I will see you guys in the next video. Later.